Hi everyone. Okay, so video making this summer has not been going the way I I was hoping it would. But anyway, I figured it was time to get back to work and do another episode of Flat Out Wrong, addressing the claims of flat earthers. And as I was working on that, this list started doing the rounds on Facebook. It's a list of 40 proofs that the Earth is flat and stationary. A lot of these I intend to address properly in Flat Out Wrong, but I figured that since it's taking me longer than expected to get that video made, the next part, that is, I figured I would just go through them, rapid fire style. And you'll see how stupid these claims are. So here we go. 1. Boats re-emerging below the horizon. Okay, re-emerging below the horizon. What? If you mean they're re-emerging when they come back from having been beyond the horizon, yeah, well, that's one of the reasons why we know the Earth is round. They would never go away otherwise. If you're referring to why they can sometimes be seen when they should be beyond the horizon, that's called atmospheric refraction. Very well-known phenomenon that I will describe in greater detail in the next part of the series. So, wrong. 2. No Coriolis effect on airplanes. That is simply false. That's just an outright lie. 3. Horizon remains at eye level of 35,000 feet. So that would be about 10,000 meters, a little more. No, it doesn't. It will be a couple of degrees below eye level. At the top of Mount Everest, the horizon, assuming that we can ignore the intervening terrain, will be about 3 degrees below eye level. So this is a claim made by someone who obviously neither did the math nor actually checked for themselves. If you go up in an airplane, you'll notice that the horizon is a couple of degrees underneath eye level. 4. Buildings are parallel to one another. We're talking about very small angles. You're not going to notice that they're actually leaning away from each other. How small do you think the Earth is? Horizontal eclipses. What? I honestly don't understand what this means. Is it that the shadow goes like this, horizontally? How is that relevant? I don't get this. It's just that horizontal eclipses. I don't know what you mean. 6. Compasses always point north and are flat. Yeah, they're flat because we make them flat, because we want to know which direction we're going. The surface of the Earth is two-dimensional. You know, it's the surface of a sphere. We want to know the direction we're going on that surface. And why do they always point north? Magnetism, you retard. Magnetism. Have you ever heard of magnetism? Magnetism! 7. The moon is illuminated at 12 noon. Sometimes, yes. What's your point? I don't get the argument. How does it follow from this that the Earth is flat? The Bible, Quran, and the Egyptian coffin text says it's flat. They say it's flat, and there's an apostrophe in it's in this. Also, none of these are punctuated. despite the fact that some of them are sentences. Okay, so all those texts are wrong then, which we knew anyway. Clocks never swap 12 hours after 6 months. Okay, so this is a reference to the difference between time as we typically measure it and sidereal time. I will be addressing that in the series, actually. It has to do with how we define what a day is. It's not when the sun is back in the same position. Well, oh, sorry. That's what it is. It's the same position in the sky. But that, you know, the Earth has moved in its orbit. Because of this, astronomers have this thing called sidereal time, and that's what this is referring to. If you measure time that way, then yes, 6 months after it's noon, it will be midnight. Polar flattening. So, yeah, the Earth is flattened like this. It's not a perfect sphere, yes, but you're saying it's flat, and yet you're acknowledging that it is squished from top. 12 states are completely flat, especially Kansas. What? Okay, first of all, I think what you're meaning is that they're pretty much level. It's the same altitude all over the place. That means it's not flat. The sun's rays and shadows are at an angle. No, they're not. That's actually one of the ways we know that the Earth, that the sun is very far away. The fact that sun rays are parallel. Well, they're not exactly parallel. I think it's like 0.003 degrees or something like that. The moon often rises in full illumination at night. Yeah, it's called full moon. I don't understand how it follows that the Earth is flat. Admiral Byrd and the Antarctica Treaty. Yes, there is something called the Antarctica Treaty, and yeah. What's your point? No stellar parallax, except for the stellar parallax that we can measure. Planets revolve at the same speed when tracking. What? Revolve at the same speed. No, they don't. I don't get... Are you saying that they appear to move in the sky at the same speed? Yeah, that's because the Earth rotates. If you're looking at, Jupiter in the sky and you're looking at Mars in the sky, yeah, that will appear to move at the same rate. That's because the Earth rotates. All objects on Earth fall at the same speed, 9.8 meters per second. Okay, that is demonstrably false. Try dropping a feather and a rock and you'll see that they fall at different speeds. And they don't start out falling at 9.8 meters per second. They start out hanging in the air and then they accelerate. Now, if you ignore air resistance, they will accelerate at the same rate. So in a vacuum, they would fall next to each other. Yes. But not at 9.8 meters per second. They will accelerate at 9.8 meters per second square. All photos of Earth are composites. That is false. Most of them are, because you have to be very far from the Earth to get the whole planet in the frame, or the whole side of the planet that is actually facing you in the frame. And we rarely go that far away. Most satellites are way too close to take pictures like that, so composites are used. But there are photos of the Earth where you can see the entire planet. Or, well, half the planet, that is. Obviously the other side is blocked by it. Yeah. Polaris is locked over the North Pole. No, it's not. The Earth's axis is pointing in the direction of Polaris. Not exactly, but pretty much. Very close to it. No unaltered photos of Sigma Octantis. I'm not familiar with this claim. To my knowledge, it would be very easy to acquire an unaltered photo of Sigma Octantis. You just go to the southern hemisphere, point a camera in the direction of Sigma Octantis, and take a picture. Making sure you get the exposure right. Polar caps don't melt after 6 months. They shouldn't. Fake moon landing! What fake moon landing? I'm only aware of the ones, the Apollo program. They weren't fake. I know there are people who say they're fake. They weren't. There are, for example, reflectors left on the moon that you can just point a laser at and confirm that it's there. And yeah. Rockets curve out of sight, misspelled, before reaching 80 kilometers. I have explained that in a Kerbal Space Program video. That's because you don't go straight away from the Earth. If you want to go into orbit, you don't accelerate upwards, straight away. Because when it's time to turn, you have to hit the brakes. Or you're just going to keep moving away and away and away, and as you accelerate to get into orbit, you're just going to move further and further away, and before you know it, you will be at escape velocity. So what you do is you go up like this. You don't go up like this and then turn. 24. Never any stars on the horizon, except for when there are stars on the horizon. 25. No tracked non-stop flights in the southern hemisphere, except for all the non-stop flights in the southern hemisphere. Pangea won't work on a curved surface. Yes, it will actually. If the Earth isn't a planet, then plate tectonics won't work. Star Trail time-lapse videos passed off as art. Yeah, some of them are. What's your point? And they show that the Earth is rotating. What's your point? Cut scenes on the ISS. Yes, eventually when you record, you're gonna cut. How does it follow that the Earth is flat? Polaris visible below the equator. Yeah, I haven't actually looked into this, since I'm not exactly sure of where Polaris is relative to the axis. I mean, it's not perfect. If Polaris were perfectly aligned with the Earth's axis, then at the equator it should appear to be right on the horizon. But it's not perfectly aligned. So I think that's what this refers to. But go to Australia and you can never see Polaris. No, you can't. That's another way we know that the Earth is in fact round. Inconsistencies between the shape of the Earth and what? There's an inconsistency between one thing and what? You're not making sense. Moon phases would swap throughout the year. What? I don't understand the argument. Moon phase. Is this another reference to sidereal time? Or? Midnight sun observable below the Arctic Circle. No. Possibly slightly below due to atmospheric refraction, I guess. Airplanes remain at their altitude, yeah? What's your point? Is this about, you're thinking that if a plane goes straight ahead, then because the Earth is curved, it should gain altitude? Is that it? Because I'm wondering where the extra the extra potential energy would come from. You'd have to accelerate to get more energy. Is that what this is a reference to? Red Bull Stratus Felix landed on ground, not ocean. What is your point? The UN flag. Foucault pendulum works at the equator. So we agree then that the Earth is in fact a rotating sphere. Good. Planets travel at the same rate at different latitudes. That's because the Earth rotates at... Eclipse durations don't measure with Earth's rotation. What? I don't get the claim. Is this one of those things where you assume that celestial bodies are stationary or whatever? I don't get the claim. Radar would lose signal on a curved atmosphere, atmospheric refraction. And eventually they do lose signal. Refraction will only get you so far. And finally, the theory of relativity supports geocentrism. No, it explicitly debunks geocentrism, because you can't have a center of the universe, according to relativity, since there is no preferred frame of reference. Plus much more, which apparently will be left out. You haven't presented anything that holds up yet. At best, there were a few of these that where I didn't understand the claim, so I can't respond to it. There is a fraud in science. Okay, demonstrate it. And wouldn't you be using science to do that? So. Let your ego go. Yeah, that's why I let the evidence dictate where I end up. I follow the evidence where it's... Is that ego? No, it would be ego to say, I know better than what the evidence tells me. Peace. Jordan?